Contents. Preface. Unit 1, Students and the System. Chapter 1, American Government and Civic Engagement. Introduction. 1.1. What is government? 1.2. Who governs? Elitism, pluralism, and trade-offs. 1.3. Engagement in a democracy. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 2. The Constitution and its Origins. Introduction. 2.1. The pre-revolutionary period and the roots of the American political tradition. 2.2. The Articles of Confederation. 2.3. The development of the Constitution. 2.4. The ratification of the Constitution. 2.5. Constitutional change. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 3. American Federalism. Introduction. 3.1. The Division of Powers. 3.2. The Evolution of American Federalism. 3.3. Intergovernmental Relationships. 3.4. Competitive Federalism Today. 3.5. Advantages and Disadvantages of Federalism. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Unit 2. Individual Agency and Action. Chapter 4. Civil Liberties. Introduction. 4.1. What are civil liberties? 4.2. Securing basic freedoms. 4.3. The rights of suspects. 4.4. Interpreting the Bill of Rights. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 5. Civil Rights. Introduction. 5.1. What are civil rights and how do we identify them? 5.2. The African American Struggle for Equality. 5.3. The Fight for Women's Rights. 5.4. Civil Rights for Indigenous Groups, Native Americans, Alaskans, and Hawaiians. 5.5. Equal Protection for Other Groups. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 6. The Politics of Public Opinion. Introduction. 6.1. The Nature of Public Opinion. 6.2. How is public opinion measured? 6.3. What does the public think? 6.4. The Effects of Public Opinion. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 7. Voting and Elections. Introduction. 7.1. Voter Registration. 7.2. Voter Turnout. 7.3. Elections. 7.4. Campaigns and Voting. 7.5. Direct Democracy. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Unit 3. Toward Collective Action. Mediating Institutions. Chapter 8. The Media. Introduction. 8.1. What is the media? 8.2. The Evolution of the Media. 8.3. Regulating the Media. 8.4. The Impact of the Media. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 9. Political Parties. Introduction. 9.1. What are parties and how did they form? 9.2. The two-party system. 9.3. The shape of modern political parties. 9.4. Divided government and partisan polarization. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 10. Interest Groups and Lobbying. Introduction. 10.1. Interest Groups Defined. 10.2. Collective Action and Interest Group Formation. 10.3. Interest Groups as Political Participation. 10.4. Pathways of Interest Group Influence. 10.5. Free Speech and the Regulation of Interest Groups. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Unit 4. Delivering Collective Action. Formal Institutions. Chapter 11. Congress. Introduction. 11.1. The institutional design of Congress. 11.2. Congressional elections. 11.3. Congressional representation. 11.4. House and Senate organizations. 11.5. The legislative process. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 12. The Presidency. Introduction. 12.1. The design and evolution of the presidency. 12.2. The presidential election process. 12.3. Organizing to govern. 12.4. The public presidency. 12.5. Presidential governance. Direct presidential action. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 13. The Courts. Introduction. 13.1. Guardians of the Constitution and Individual Rights. 13.2. The Dual Court System. 13.3. The Federal Court System. 13.4. The Supreme Court. 13.5. Judicial decision-making and implementation by the Supreme Court. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 14. State and Local Government. Introduction. 14.1. State Power and Delegation. 14.2. State Political Culture. 14.3. Governors and State Legislatures. 14.4. State Legislative Term Limits. 14.5. County and City Government. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Unit 5. The Outputs of Government. Chapter 15. The Bureaucracy. Introduction. 15.1. Bureaucracy and the Evolution of Public Administration. 15.2. Toward a Merit-Based Civil Service. 15.3. Understanding Bureaucracies and Their Types. 15.4. Controlling the Bureaucracy. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 16. Domestic Policy. Introduction. 16.1. What is public policy? 16.2. Categorizing public policy. 16.3. Policy arenas. 16.4. Policymakers. 16.5. Budgeting and tax policy. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Chapter 17. Foreign Policy. Introduction. 17.1. Defining foreign policy. 17.2. Foreign policy instruments. 17.3. Institutional relations in foreign policy. 17.4. Approaches to foreign policy. Key terms. Summary. Review questions. Critical thinking questions. Suggestions for further study. Appendix A. Declaration of Independence. Appendix B. The Constitution of the United States. Appendix C. Federalist Papers No. 10 and No. 51. Appendix D. Electoral College Map. Appendix E. Selected Supreme Court Cases. Answer key. References. Index.